Twin Snake Sacrifice Jutsu. The Twin Snake Sacrifice Jutsu is a forbidden technique that Orochimaru once taught Anko during the time she was his student. This is a jutsu with a dual suicide nature. The user must tightly grasp the opponent's hand and force them to perform the required sequence of hand seals together. Once the seals are completed, both the caster and the target will lose their lives. During the first stage of the Chunin exams, Anko attempted to use this technique on Orochimaru. She pinned down his hand and began forming the seals, intending to sacrifice herself to prevent her former master from escaping. However, Orochimaru outmatched her by using a shadow clone as a decoy. Anko was fortunate enough to notice the switch and stop the jutsu in time before killing herself for nothing. We never see the actual destructive power of this technique on screen. According to the databook, the jutsu summons two snakes that coil tightly around both the user and the target. They bite into the victim's neck before exploding to guarantee the death of both sides. The Twin Snake Sacrifice Jutsu is considered one of the least known forbidden techniques in Naruto. Its lack of a full appearance combined with Anko's failed attempt makes it an obscure ability that has almost been forgotten. Reverse Lotus. The Reverse Lotus is one of the strongest forbidden techniques in the early part of the series. Rock Lee learned this technique from Maito Gai and is only allowed to use it in situations where he must unleash his full strength. The reason lies in how the technique works. To perform the Reverse Lotus, the user must open at least 3 of the 8 gates. These gates are natural limiters that protect the body, so once they are opened, the user's strength and speed are released far beyond normal capacity. This surge in power always comes with a heavy price. After using the technique, the user usually falls into a state of severe exhaustion and is almost unable to continue fighting. Once the gates have been opened, the Reverse Lotus begins by sending the target flying into the air. Rock Lee then takes advantage of his enhanced speed to deliver a rapid series of mid-air attacks, ending with a powerful slam that drives the opponent straight into the ground with massive impact force. The damage caused by the Reverse Lotus is usually enough to incapacitate an opponent instantly. This is shown most clearly in Rock Lee's fight against Gaara. Gaara's automatic sand defense, known for its fast reaction speed, still couldn't keep up with the technique. Rock Lee even wrapped bandages around Gaara to restrict his movement and set up the finishing blow. If the final strike had landed fully, the match could have ended at that very moment. The Reverse Lotus grants explosive power, but also puts the user in extreme danger. If the opponent is still able to stand afterward, Rock Lee will have no means of defending himself. This is why the technique is seen as a last gamble, one that can turn the tide of battle, but may also force the user to pay a very heavy price. Multiple Shadow Clone Technique. The Multiple Shadow Clone Technique is one of the most famous forbidden techniques and is also the jutsu that establishes Naruto's unique position throughout the series. Tobirama Senju created this technique as a countermeasure against the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. In essence, it is an expanded version of the Shadow Clone technique, but instead of creating a few copies, the user can generate hundreds or even thousands of clones. However, the mechanism of evenly dividing chakra among all clones is precisely the reason it became a forbidden technique. Splitting the user's energy into too many portions causes rapid exhaustion and carries a high risk of death. Because the danger level was so great, the first Hokage classified it as a forbidden jutsu and sealed it inside the Scroll of Seals. Naruto is one of the rare cases capable of mastering the Multiple Shadow Clone technique. Thanks to the immense amount of chakra in his Uzumaki body, combined with being the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, he can create far more clones than any other shinobi. While an ordinary ninja could only dare to summon a handful of clones at most, Naruto can create an entire army to attack, surround, or overwhelm an opponent in a short amount of time. This technique is not only useful in battle, Naruto also uses it to shorten his training time. Each clone can function as an independent learner. When a clone disperses, all of its experience returns to the original body. Because of this, Naruto was able to complete the Rasenshuriken in a much shorter period than through normal training methods. Strength of 100 Seal. The Strength of 100 Seal is a technique that dates back to the era of the Sage of Six Paths. It is often underestimated because many people view healing abilities as secondary. In reality, this is one of the strongest support-type jutsu ever created. Tsunade and Sakura are the most famous shinobi who mastered this technique. They can store a massive amount of chakra at a single point on their body over a long period, then release all of it when entering battle. Storing chakra requires extremely precise control. During the process, the user cannot allow even a tiny amount of chakra to leak. Normally, all the chakra is stored on the forehead and condenses into a diamond-shaped mark. Sakura spent 3 full years creating her own seal, which shows how difficult the technique is. When the seal is released, markings spread across the user's body and send the stored chakra into the circulatory system. This allows them to boost their physical strength and regeneration ability in a very short time. Both Tsunade and Sakura use this chakra to activate Creation Rebirth, a jutsu that lets the body regenerate without hand seals. In that state, they are nearly impossible to defeat. This was proven in the battle against Madara, where Tsunade was cut in half yet kept herself alive thanks to the chakra held in the seal. The power of the technique is not limited to healing. When the seal is released, the user's physical strength increases greatly. Sakura demonstrated this when she defeated the Ten Tails clones during the Fourth Great Ninja War. Tsunade also used chakra from the seal to maintain a youthful appearance, which shows how versatile the technique is in different situations. Although it has a minor drawback of shortening the user's lifespan, the cost is still far lower than that of most forbidden techniques. For this reason, the Strength of 100 seal is viewed as the highest level of recovery jutsu in the ninja world. Iwagakure. The Iwagakure Kinjutsu is the foundational technique that created the explosive clay art used by Deidara. This technique allows the user to infuse chakra into matter and reshape it at will. With this ability, they can form objects of many sizes and control them as extensions of their own body. When chakra is infused correctly, these constructs can become powerful offensive tools with high destructive force. Deidara stole this technique and combined it with his explosion release Kekkei Genkai to create the explosive clay that defines his fighting style. Every clay creation he makes carries artistic meaning through his own perspective and also serves as a weapon capable of causing massive damage. In his battle with Sasuke when he had no other choice, Deidara used his strongest technique to express the highest form of the art he followed. That technique is C0, the final and suicidal trump card of Deidara. To activate C0, he reveals the fourth mouth on his chest, which is directly linked to his heart, then consumes a large amount of explosive clay. Chakra from the heart spreads through his body and compresses into a concentrated source of energy. When this process is complete, Deidara's entire body becomes a giant bomb ready to explode. One's own life reincarnation. One's own life reincarnation is a forbidden technique developed by the Sand Village's Puppet Brigade. At first, this technique was created to channel life force into puppets to enhance their combat ability. Over time, it evolved into a jutsu that can transfer the user's life force to another person, making it one of the most self-sacrificial techniques in the ninja world. The technique works by having the user gather all the chakra left in their body to form a bridge between two lives. Their life energy then flows into the target. If the chosen person is still alive, the jutsu can heal fatal injuries and restore their strength. If the target has already died, the user must give up their own life to bring them back. This technique appears only once in the entire series, when Lady Chiyo uses it to revive Gaara after the Akatsuki extracted the one-tail Shukaku from him. Regret over her past mistakes pushed her to sacrifice herself as a way to atone for what she had done to her grandson. Because her life force was nearly gone at that moment, Naruto had to intervene and share extra chakra to support the ritual. Once the process ended, Lady Chiyo passed away, and the secret of this jutsu vanished with her. It is seen as an absolute salvation technique, but the cost is far too great. Cursed Seal of Heaven. The Cursed Seal of Heaven is one of the most dangerous seals created by Orochimaru. Its foundation comes from Jugo's unique ability, as his body naturally absorbs natural energy and transforms to fight. Orochimaru studied this ability and created several types of cursed seals. The two most complete versions are the Heaven Seal and the Earth Seal. The Heaven Seal grants the user a large increase in chakra along with a clear boost in physical ability. This power is linked to natural energy and resembles Sage Mode to a certain extent. Sasuke is the most well-known user of this seal after Orochimaru marked him during the second stage of the Chunin exams. When entering the level 2 state, Sasuke's strength rose to the point where he could fight Naruto in his one-tailed form. Before Sasuke, Anko also carried the Heaven Seal during her time as Orochimaru's disciple. In the Forest of Death, Orochimaru reactivated her seal to control her. The Earth Seal, the other main version, was given to Kimimaro. It boosted his physical strength, chakra reserves, and jutsu performance. When he activated level 2 state, Kimimaro could fully merge with his own skeletal system. This allowed him to launch unpredictable attacks from many angles and keep overwhelming his opponents. His healing ability also increased, since his body could regenerate damaged flesh during the transformation. This is why he became one of Orochimaru's strongest followers. Despite their power, both the Heaven Seal and the Earth Seal come with a heavy cost. They drain the user's life force over time and make their body dependent on the power. Without proper control, the seal can destroy its host before they even realize it. For this reason, the cursed seals created by Orochimaru are always seen as double-edged weapons that offer immense strength while hiding serious dangers. Mutually multiplying explosive tags. Mutually multiplying explosive tags is a lethal forbidden technique created by Tobirama Senju. This jutsu is designed to create long chains of continuous explosions and is considered most terrifying when combined with Edo Tensei. The core of the technique lies in special explosive tags that can duplicate themselves right after detonating, creating an endless destructive loop. When a shinobi revived through Edo Tensei uses this technique, their body becomes the activation point for the tags. The explosive tags attached to the body will detonate, then produce new tags that attach to the same spot. This reaction continues without pause because an Edo body can regenerate endlessly, which means each explosion is followed by another with no loss of power. The target has almost no way to escape the blast zone, no matter how far they move. If a living person uses this technique, they face extreme risk. They cannot regenerate like an Edo Tensei host, so they are usually caught in the blast they trigger. For this reason, mutually multiplying explosive tags is almost only suited for use with Edo Tensei, where an immortal body can maintain the explosion loop without being permanently destroyed. Rasenshuriken. The Rasenshuriken is one of Naruto's most iconic techniques and is also the greatest advancement of the Rasengan since its creation. Under Kakashi's guidance, Naruto combined the Rasengan with wind release to form a technique with destructive power far beyond the original. However, in its early stage, the Rasenshuriken revealed a serious drawback. When Naruto struck a target, the sharp chakra inside the technique destroyed the opponent's cells and also caused severe damage to his own arm. Tsunade considered this too dangerous and banned Naruto from using it. Naruto later found a solution when he learned Sage Mode. By using natural energy, he could throw the Rasenshuriken as a long-range attack. The technique no longer required direct contact, so Naruto avoided injuring himself. Once thrown, the Rasenshuriken could expand in midair to hit opponents who tried to evade it. This flexibility made it one of Naruto's strongest long-range ninjutsu. When Naruto gained access to Nine Tails Chakra Mode, his control over the Rasenshuriken reached a higher level. He could use chakra arms to guide the flight path and change the direction of each attack, giving the technique superior accuracy. He also learned to create multiple Rasenshuriken at once and adjust their size depending on the battle situation. In some cases, Naruto even replaced the Rasengan core with a tailed beast bomb or a truth-seeking ball, which increased the destructive power many times over. Earth Grudge Fear. Earth Grudge Fear is a forbidden technique that originated in the village of the waterfall. Kakuzu stole this technique after leaving the village and killed the elders when he was punished for failing his mission to assassinate the first Hokage. The technique turns the user's body into a structure held together by countless black tendrils. These threads bind the entire body and completely replace normal muscle tissue. Because of these tendrils, Kakuzu can stitch his wounds and even reattach severed limbs. He can also separate parts of his body and control them from a distance, then sew them back together when needed. Earth Grudge Fear is not limited to regeneration. Kakuzu uses the threads to cut open an opponent's body and steal their internal organs. By taking another person's heart, he extends his lifespan and increases his power. Kakuzu can store up to 4 spare hearts in the masks attached to his back, and each heart carries a different chakra nature. This allows him to use 4 elements: fire, lightning, water, and wind. The masks that contain the hearts can detach from his body and act as independent creatures that can move and fight. Each mask launches powerful elemental attacks, which makes Kakuzu very hard to overwhelm. If Kakuzu's main body is destroyed, one of the spare hearts will activate and bring him back to life. This gives him a near-immortal state as long as at least one heart remains intact. In the final battle, Kakashi destroyed one heart, Hidan accidentally destroyed another, Naruto eliminated the remaining 3, and when no heart was left, Kakashi delivered the final blow. Earth Grudge Fear is clear proof that a forbidden technique does not need to be complex to grant a terrifying form of immortality. By stealing the hearts of others, Kakuzu prolonged his life for decades and became one of the most dangerous members of the Akatsuki. Living Corpse Reincarnation. Living Corpse Reincarnation is a forbidden technique created by Orochimaru to transfer his soul into a new body and extend his life. His goal is to find a young and strong vessel before his current body weakens. This allows Orochimaru to maintain an almost endless existence as long as he can find a suitable host. He can only perform the ritual once every 3 years. If he stays in one body for too long, the vessel will start to reject him and force him to search for a new place to inhabit. His obsession with finding the perfect host is the reason Orochimaru targeted Sasuke and Kimimaro for many years. When the ritual begins, he returns to his white snake form, made from countless smaller snakes. Orochimaru swallows the vessel and traps them in a mental realm. Inside that space, he slowly seizes the soul of the chosen host and takes over their body. The snake form dies and Orochimaru's soul revives inside the new body. The most frightening aspect of this technique is that once he takes a body, he inherits all the skills and abilities of the host. This explains his obsession with people who possess rare Kekkei Genkai. The souls of previous hosts do not disappear. They remain inside him but are suppressed. If Orochimaru's chakra drops too low, these souls can rise and attempt to regain control. This shows that the forbidden technique is not flawless and still carries great risk. After gaining a new body, Orochimaru adjusts it to match the traits of a snake. His body can stretch, heal quickly, and even reconnect severed parts. This grants him impressive endurance while waiting for the next transfer. Later, after he is killed by Sasuke and revived through a method linked to Kabuto's cells, Orochimaru no longer needs the old ritual. He transfers his soul into a white Zetsu clone and gains a more stable form of existence. Living corpse reincarnation is one of the most terrifying paths to immortality in the ninja world. In theory, Orochimaru can live forever if he finds the perfect vessel, making him one of the hardest characters to eliminate in the entire series. Reaper Death Seal. The Reaper Death Seal is an extremely powerful forbidden technique created by the Uzumaki clan. It is not a normal summoning jutsu, but more like a pact with a supernatural entity. When activated, the user summons the Shinigami and offers their own soul in exchange for sealing away the soul of their target. The price is the user's life. The technique was first used by Minato on the night the Nine Tails attacked the Leaf Village. He sealed half of the Nine Tails' yin chakra into himself by using the Reaper Death Seal. Later, Hiruzen Sarutobi used the same forbidden technique in his battle with Orochimaru. Because of his age and weakened chakra, he could only seal Orochimaru's arms, which caused Orochimaru to lose the ability to perform ninjutsu for a long time. The process begins with a sequence of hand seals. When completed, the Shinigami appears behind the user. Only the caster can see the Shinigami, while others remain unaware of its presence. The Shinigami reaches through the user's body and grabs the soul of the target, leaving them paralyzed and unable to resist. The user can then extract the enemy's soul and seal it within themselves. Once this happens, the souls of both are trapped inside the caster's body. In the end, the Shinigami devours the user's soul, killing them soon after. No soul is released. Every person sealed by the Reaper Death Seal is trapped in the belly of the Shinigami and remains in eternal torment. The only way to free the souls inside the Shinigami's stomach is to use the Shinigami mask stored in the Uzumaki clan's shrine. When someone wears the mask, the Shinigami's spirit merges with their body. If they cut open their own stomach, the Shinigami mimics the motion and releases all the trapped souls. The user still dies from the self-inflicted wound. Orochimaru is one of the few who survived the process because he immediately transferred into a new body. Through this, he recovered his sealed arms and regained the ability to use Edo Tensei. The Reaper Death Seal carries one of the greatest costs in the ninja world. Its power is undeniable, yet the price makes it a forbidden technique used only when no other choice remains. 8 Gates. The 8 Gates is one of the most dangerous taijutsu arts in the ninja world. The 8 Gates represent 8 points in the body's chakra pathway system, created as natural limiters. These gates prevent a person from releasing too much chakra and protect the body from being destroyed by its own power. With harsh training, a shinobi can learn to open each gate and release strength and speed far beyond normal limits. Every gate that opens grants a major increase in physical power, yet it also harms the user's body. Opening the early gates can cause fatigue and injury, while opening the final gate leads to certain death because the body cannot withstand the massive surge of chakra. In the entire series, only 2 people have opened all 8 gates. Maito Gai is the most famous after spending almost 2 decades mastering the technique. His father, Maito Dai, also reached this level and passed down the most important rule: the 8 gates should only be used to protect loved ones, even if it costs the user's life. Might Dai opened the Gate of Death to save his comrades from the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist and paid with his life. Years later, Gai followed his father's path when he faced Madara during the 4th Great Ninja War. To open the final gate, Gai pressed his finger into his chest to force chakra into his heart. When the Gate of Death opens, the heart enters maximum overdrive and releases a red aura that covers the entire body. This state gives the user power far beyond any Kage and grants access to taijutsu attacks with overwhelming destructive force. The price is that the body burns from the inside due to extreme heat and chakra overload. Against 6 paths, Madara Gai came close to defeating him. Techniques like Night Gai and Evening Elephant showed that he reached a taijutsu level no one had ever attained. Although Gai collapsed before landing the final blow, he was recognized as the strongest taijutsu user in ninja history. Naruto used 6 paths Sage Chakra to save him from death, but the damage was too severe and left Might Gai in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Even so, that battle proved the true power of the 8 gates and why it is considered one of the most dangerous forbidden techniques ever created. Izanami. Izanami is one of the strongest forbidden techniques of the Uchiha clan and carries a heavy price. The user permanently loses the sight of one eye immediately after activating it. This is a special genjutsu that traps the target in an endless loop, forcing them to relive the same sequence of actions again and again. The loop is based on the physical sensations recorded by the user at the moment of combat, then recreated inside the illusion to trap the victim in an unchanging reality. Itachi Uchiha used Izanami in his battle with Kabuto during the 4th Great Ninja War. When the technique activated, Kabuto was pulled into the loop and repeatedly experienced the same events in his mind. Even if he tried to change his actions, the genjutsu would adjust itself to keep the loop going. making every attempt to escape pointless. Izanami was not created to kill the target but to force them to face themselves. The only way to break the loop is for the trapped person to acknowledge their mistake and accept the truth about their actions. When they realize this and change their mindset, the loop dissolves. If they cannot, they remain trapped in the illusion forever. This technique is a severe form of mental punishment, yet also serves to guide the victim towards self-awareness. Izanami stands as a reminder that the true power of the Sharingan lies not only in its offensive ability, but also in its capacity to force a person to confront their own identity. Izanagi? Izanagi is the direct counterpart to Izanami, yet serves a completely different purpose. While Izanami traps the target in an endless loop to force self-reflection, Izanagi allows the user to rewrite reality. At the moment of activation, the boundary between illusion and truth disappears, letting the caster turn anything they desire into actual reality. The most common use of Izanagi is to nullify situations that are too dangerous to avoid. When the user suffers severe injury or even death, Izanagi converts the damage into mere illusion and replaces it with an unharmed version of the body. This lets the user survive blows that should have ended their life, making the technique function almost like a temporary extra life. In Uchiha history, Madara is the most famous user of Izanagi. He activated it during his final battle with Hashirama by presetting the technique in his right eye. This allowed Madara to fake his death and deceive the entire world by replacing his real body with a duplicate. It gave him the chance to survive and prepare for his long-term plan. For an ordinary Uchiha, the duration of Izanagi is very short because they possess only half of the Sage of Six Paths chakra. Danzo is a special case because his body was implanted with DNA from both the Senju and Uchiha clans. This let him extend the effect of Izanagi to about 1 minute per eye. Danzo embedded 10 Sharingan into his right arm, so he could use the technique continuously for 10 minutes. However, because he was not a pure Uchiha, each activation consumed a massive amount of chakra. Obito could also extend Izanagi because his body contained Senju cells. The existence of Izanagi is the reason Izanami was created. It served as the Uchiha clan's punishment for those who abused the power to rewrite reality. It stands as a reminder that every decision has a cost, and no one can escape the consequences of their actions. Even so, sacrificing one eye to avoid death is still a cheap price compared to many other forbidden techniques in the ninja world. Rinne Rebirth. Gedo Art of Rinne Rebirth is a special technique that can only be used through the Rinnegan. It is an outer path ability, the 7th path within Pain's 6 paths. What makes this technique terrifying is its power to bring the dead back to life. Unlike Edo Tensei, those revived by Rinne Rebirth return in a complete living body and regain full control of themselves. However, the caster must pay an extreme price. They almost always sacrifice their own life to complete the ritual. When the technique begins, the King of Hell appears and opens the gate to the afterlife to release the souls of the dead. These souls return to the world of the living and go back to their bodies in a fully healed state. Although the limits of the technique were never explained, Nagato once used it to revive hundreds of people after the attack on the Leaf Village. The sheer number shows that the revival potential of this forbidden technique is far beyond what most shinobi could imagine. Later, Obito was forced by Black Zetsu to use Rinne Rebirth to bring Uchiha Madara back to true life, instead of the Edo Tensei state he had before. Even though Obito survived for a short time thanks to Black Zetsu's intervention and Naruto giving him 6 paths yang power to stabilize his life force, he still died soon after completing the technique. This confirms that Rinne Rebirth always demands the user's life as the cost. The technique does not require the original body of the person being revived, and there is no clear proof of any maximum limit on how many can be brought back. However, Nagato's inability to revive Jiraiya suggests that there may be conditions related to time or the state of the corpse that the technique cannot overcome. Without question, Rinne Rebirth is one of the most dangerous forbidden techniques. It challenges the boundary between life and death, gives the user the power to alter destiny, and demands a price no one can pay twice. Edo Tensei. Edo Tensei is a forbidden technique that brings the dead back into the living world. Tobirama Senju created the first version, but it was incomplete. Later, Orochimaru found it and developed several improvements, and Kabuto refined the technique to near perfection. To perform Edo Tensei, the user needs the DNA of the person to be revived, a special sealing scroll, and a living sacrifice to act as the vessel. The soul of the deceased must also still exist in the Pure Land for the ritual to succeed. When activated, ashes cover the sacrifice, and their body begins to transform into the form of the revived person. The process is painful for the sacrifice, and they die once the new soul fully takes over the body. The revived person can appear from a coffin or be summoned directly to a designated location. When the process is complete, they often have a cracked clay-like appearance, but the summoner can restore their original look and control them using talismans. With the tags placed on their bod, the summoner gains full control over their actions. The unique aspect of Edo Tensei is that those who are brought back retain all their memories, skills, and Kekkei Genkai from before death. This makes the technique a double-edged weapon because in the hands of an enemy, the strongest shinobi in history can be turned into puppets for war. Under Orochimaru, they often had their will erased and were reduced to immortal bodies used for combat. Kabuto, however, adjusted the level of freedom for each revived shinobi depending on his strategies. The greatest strength of Edo Tensei lies in the immortal body granted to the revived. They can regenerate from any damage, are unaffected by conventional weapons, and possess near-limitless chakra. Tobirama originally designed the technique for continuous suicide attacks since users could be destroyed and instantly regenerate to continue fighting. The frightening part is that killing the summoner does not stop Edo Tensei once the ritual is complete. Despite its power, Edo Tensei is considered the most controversial technique in history because it manipulates the dead, blurs the boundary between life and death, and turns corpses into tools of war. This is why Edo Tensei is often described as a forbidden technique too powerful to exist. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.